You've worked hard to build a dream retirement. Now it's time to put that plan into action. This is Retire ATL with Aaron Vincent and Matt Decker. The team at Vincent Financial wants to help you build, protect, and grow income to get you to and through retirement. Now, Retire ATL with Aaron Vincent and Matt Decker.
This is the Retire ATL podcast, all powered by the Vincent Financial Group. You can get more when you visit retireatlradio.com. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Now, let's get to the show. So the website, retireatlradio.com. Get web submissions throughout the week. People that listen to the show, stream the podcast from the homepage. Millions of submissions.
Millions of people that call in or websites.
No, tens of millions.
Business is good.
Yeah. We don't call them back.
That's our business model. But you got a great one this week from a gentleman who just simply said, can you help me? He had some question about his taxes, but then he just kind of followed it up with, but can you help me? I don't know if I qualify for help. So let me ask you that question, Aaron Vincent. Who do you serve? Who can you help?
It's a really good question. We talk here every week and we have conversations around, we tell client stories and it's a good reminder that we need to be specific of, look, how do you know if you're listening who we can help, whether or not you're someone that could fit kind of what we do? And so the biggest thing, there are several qualifiers or several things we could mention, but one of them is, you've done the majority of your saving for retirement. A lot of people are looking for what's your minimum? What's your minimum? Our minimum is more of like an attitude. Like the biggest thing that we would require to bring somebody on as a client is just that they are serious about making decisions to better their situation. That would be the main characteristic I would look for. Like you're not messing around. You're ready to improve your situation. You're ready to tighten the screws and really fill out a plan and begin to make some moves. And so now, having said that, there has to be something to work with, right? We don't really have a strict minimum, this many assets or more, because what we found is that there are people with assets way above what we would consider a minimum that we don't want to work with, if I'm quite honest with you, because of point number one, they're just not ready. And then there are some who are like, they would be ideal candidates and they just haven't gotten there yet as far as done the bulk of their savings. And so anyway, my point is simply that if you're ready, if you've done the bulk of your savings and you're ready to make sure that you're on track from where you want to go, we should at least start a conversation.
It's funny. Aaron and I are business owners, and you heard a quote, or did you read it, about when you build your business, you got to be careful that you don't.
Yeah.
Tell the quote. What is it?
My goal this year is to read 20 books in 2026. And I think it's 8 of them I want to be business books that are going to help us be better at what we do. And in one of those books, I forget which one, it says, if you aren't proactive and like imagining every decision that you're making while you're kind of building and leading a business, if you're not careful, you're going to wake up one day and you've built a prison around yourself. Like all those things that you were just responding to. It was just like an urgent need and you placed that brick and you solved that problem. You wake up 5 years or 10 years later and you've built a prison. This is not, I didn't realize I was building what I didn't even want to be a part of, is the idea.
Yeah, so building your own prison. Ever since you stumbled across that quote or read that, we've kind of been thinking about like, we are business owners. What kind of a business do we want to be building? And to your point, you talked about, a lot of people have like minimums. And so a person reaching out saying, can you help me? Mm-hmm. Don't know what they need help with. But a lot of people do come into our office and say, am I a big enough client for you? Like, will you actually take the time to help me?
Can I stop you there? The reason I think you get that a lot, and we've talked about it here before on Retire ATL, is that you see all these articles that say, hey, unless you have $3 million saved for retirement, don't even think about it. Right. Or a successful retirement doesn't start until you have $5 million in assets. And I think that's where we, adults, we kind of get that ingrained that like, well, they can't do anything for me. I don't have $5 million.
Our building is right there in downtown Woodstock on Main Street. And right behind our building is the big like South on Main subdivision, which has, I don't even know how many homes are in there, but they've been building it for 5 years now, maybe more. And someone came in to our office. We get a lot of foot traffic, obviously. From those people walk into downtown Woodstock all the time. And occasionally someone will stop in and just say hi. We had someone stop in, say hi. They lived in that neighborhood. They had like $2.5–3 million. And they were asking us, am I a big enough client for you to work with? And that is kind of a weird thing. But to Aaron's point, we're not trying to build our own prison. And what would be worse as a business owner than looking around, looking at who your clientele is, and realizing that you've surrounded yourself by people you don't like? Like, is there a worse prison than that?
Yeah.
I don't know that there is. So one of I say this is true, but it's also, we joke about this. One of the questions that I ask people is, do you like us? And if you want to work with us, one of the things that I always ask is, do you like us? And they have to say yes. Obviously, if you can't say yes to that question, you can't work with us. And then I'll follow that up with, I'll say, here's the deal. In order for this relationship to work, you have to fire me as your advisor if when I call, you cringe. If I'm calling you and you're like, oh, this is the last call that I want to take, then you have to fire me. And the reverse is also true. If you're calling me and I cringe, that means I have to fire you. Because otherwise, what are we doing, right? We're building a business that has now become our prison. And it works both ways. And so, we don't necessarily have stated minimums. To Aaron's point, it really is more of an attitude. It's, do you like us and do we like you? Are you serious about this? Are you really looking for what it is that we provide and the advice that we provide? And if you are, man, we would love to walk alongside you in and through retirement because we love what we do. And if you think that's you think you might like us, you think we might like you, we might hang out and be friends, 770-741-0120. Give us a call.
I think that's also why you offered that initial consultation, no cost, no obligation. I know it sounds like a cliche of, hey, leave your checkbook at home, but that is the opportunity to just get to know each other. You're not going to start digging into numbers heavy into that first conversation.
That's exactly right. We've spent 15 years kind of honing our process, and making sure that our process is as efficient as possible for everyone's time, but also thorough enough to actually kind of create some value. But the first meeting in that process, the first conversation, is one where it's just get to know you. And it's just figuring out, it's a little bit of taking inventory, a little bit of kind of how far away are you from retirement and what do you hope to accomplish and what was it? What is the thing in your life that made you actually pick up the phone or send in a web form submission? What's the thing that made you actually engage us? So there is some logistics, but more than anything, it is, who are you and what are you about? What track are you on? And do the services that we offer, do they line up with? Are we aligned with what you need? It might be that on paper, you are the perfect client, and on paper, we are the perfect advisor for you. But what happens is, there's just not alignment for whatever reason. We aren't a hedge fund. I'll be honest with you. We have somewhat of a sweet spot of who we serve. Now, we have a pretty broad spectrum of who we serve overall, but then there is certainly a sweet spot. We don't have a lot of clients with $20 million. We just don't. We don't have a lot of clients that are 40. We just don't, because we are specifically solving a problem of, you've saved most of the money that you're going to save. And now you're wondering, have I done enough? And where's this going to take me? And what do I need to do to actually check the box to make sure I'm good? And then does that create enough income for my lifestyle? And am I safe? And can I actually enjoy retirement? And are my kids taken care of? Or whatever the thing is for you. Those are the problems that we are solving. We aren't, even though we have the means and the tools to build a portfolio to aim for 30%, 40% returns. We have the means to do that, but it's just not what we are mainly after. We say all the time, in our managed portfolios, what we are after is beating the benchmarks with less risk.
What's a benchmark?
A benchmark like an S&P 500 or a NASDAQ or a Dow, like the indexes that most people would say, how did the markets do this year? Well, the S&P was up 10.
That's a benchmark.
That's a benchmark. And so can we build you a portfolio that fits your kind of risk attitude, you personally, and do it with less risk than you'd get otherwise? That is a very specific goal. And that's why, if you've got $25 million and you're going to get another $25 million when your parents pass away, you don't have that set of needs as much. And that's who we serve more. Now, do we have very, very high net worth clients? We have some. But all that to say, if in that initial conversation where we're just going to know each other, if what we do, what we specialize in, aligns with what you need, now we're onto something. Now it's worth spending time talking about exactly what you have and where you are and the details of our services and the fees and the costs associated and how we work and what our team is like and all of that stuff. But to start off from there and spend 2 or 3 hours of your time and our time trying to talk you into being our client and then find out at the end that it's not a good fit. No. And that's what a lot of folks that come into our office who are quote unquote shopping for a financial advisor. That's kind of what they report as to what their experience is out there in the marketplace.
You don't have to worry about that at all. I mean, we are not going to be trying to talk you into doing something that's going to benefit us and hurt you, because we like to say that we specialize in happy clients, right? And the only way that you can specialize in happy clients is if you know what you're getting, it's clearly defined, you know what the expectations are, and we can deliver on that thing at a price that we both feel good about. That's the only way that you get happy clients. If there's any miscommunication in those areas, you don't have happy clients. And so we are laser focused on here's what we do well and here's what we don't do well. I'll have an example of this. This was maybe 3 weeks ago. We had a prospective client who came to one of our educational events. And when he came into the office, we found out that he's an executive at a company that specializes in tech. And he's built up a really substantial portfolio, somewhere between like $12 and $15 million. And as we're going through a portfolio analysis, which is just one of the steps in the process that we're inviting you all into, as we're going through that portfolio analysis, we're seeing that he is ultra aggressive in some technology companies specifically, to a point where if he was our client, we would have to say, like, hey, we don't recommend that you take that much risk in those areas because you've already done enough to accomplish your goals. And so we're kind of having this conversation, and he's asking us, well, what can you do for me? And it got to a point where I just said, here's the deal. I don't think you want to hire us because you want to take more risk than what we would be comfortable doing for you and with you. And it doesn't feel like we're aligned. So this is me, someone who, our business is built on getting clients who want us to manage money. And that's me turning down a $12 to $15 million prospect because we're not aligned. And I'm saying, I don't think we're a good fit for you. I'd love to be your advisor, but in order for me to be your advisor, you're going to kind of have to change your goals. And he's like, I don't really want to change my goals. And I'm like, yeah, I figured that you wouldn't. Now, did we find some other areas where there was alignment? We did. Will we work together? I don't know. But I'm just saying that so that you get the idea that this is not you come in and face a hard sell, because we are vetting you just as much as you are vetting us. It's a totally safe process and a safe environment to explore what might retirement look like. And are these the people that I feel comfortable, that I feel like I can trust, that I want to walk with me, beside me, in and through retirement? All you got to do to start the process is give us a call, 770-741-0120, 770-741-0120, or you can go to retireatlradio.com.
Who do we serve? One of the questions you could ask is, or if you're asking this question, it would be good for us to have a conversation. And that is, what do I need to do to get ready for retirement? If you're wondering that. When I say what I need to do, that might be like a list of things to gather, documents and things like that. It also might be, how much of a rate of return do I need to average for the next 5 years? Or how much should I be putting money into my Roth 401k my company offers? Or is getting the tax break on putting all of that into my traditional 401k this year? Is that a better option? If you're having these kind of conversations, a lot of folks with $25 million aren't asking these questions because it's a whole different set of questions. And so these are kind of the things, I want to make sure I'm on track to be able to retire when and how I want to. Mm-hmm. And I want to tighten the screws on that. If you're asking those kind of questions, a pretty good, and you've done the bulk of your retirement savings. I'm not saying that you've already got $3 million, you've already got $5 million. That's not what we're initially focused on. It's, you're not going to work for 20 more years. And so what you need to do for the next few years or whatever that might be. If those are the kind of questions you're asking or the things that you're thinking, or, when you're looking at your 401k statement, you're wondering, is this set up like ideally for me to get where I want to be in the next few years? If that's where you're at, we should begin a conversation.
That number is 770-741-0120. Again, 770-741-0120. We have a representative standing by right now to talk to you. Most important question they'll ask you is, when is it convenient for you to meet the team of the Vincent Financial Group? Home office in Woodstock, and they can meet you all over Metro Atlanta. And a matter of fact, good opportunity to talk about some of the great seminars coming up from the team of the Vincent Financial Group, because you host these throughout the year. at different parts of Metro Atlanta. So for that adult that's maybe just looking to get to know a little bit more about you, Aaron, you, Matt, and the team, tell me a little bit more about these educational workshops.
One of the things that we are really passionate about, and we feel like, is something that the burden of proof is on us as an advisor, not on you as a prospective client, is education. The onus shouldn't be on you to make sure you are always asking the right questions and know what questions to ask. The onus should be on the professionals who have done this before, and this is what we've kind of specialized in for decades, to begin to arm you, the public, the working public out there, of what you should be aware of and what you should be thinking about and the topics that are relevant to your retirement. So we do these educational workshops and seminars all across the northern part of Metro Atlanta, and so we have some coming up.
We sure do. We're all over the North Atlanta metro area. I would say give us a call or send us a text either way, 770-741-0120. You can just use the word, if you're texting, you can just text the word seminar. We'll reach out to you, let you know where we're coming in the future, and find something that's convenient for you. We're talking about who we serve, and we talked about you're going to hire us if you see value in what we do. And our job, as Aaron said, is to clearly define what it is that we do, make sure that we're the ones who are driving the conversation. You don't have to have all the right questions to ask. It's our job to tease out the right answers from you, to figure out if you are looking for what it is that we provide. But something that I've found interesting over the years of doing this is, we do talk to a lot of DIYers. There's a lot of them out there. And it's been relatively easy to be a DIYer over the last, let's say, 20 years. Mm-hmm. Relatively easy to be a DIYer over the last 20 years. Kind of
3, maybe 4 hiccups in 20 years in the market.
Yeah, a pretty easy stretch. And so a lot of people have good returns in their portfolio. That's pretty easy to do, honestly. You don't have to be a good money manager to have good returns in your portfolio looking back over the last 20 years. That's just the reality. But what I find interesting is a lot of DIYers come into the office, they go through our process, and they're looking for things that no one else out there is talking about. And those are the things that it's one of the cornerstones, really, of the plans that we put together. So I'm talking about things like Roth conversions. Should you do them or should you not do them? And if you should do them, how much should you do? And for how long?
And when should you start?
These are questions that DIYers come in and they say, I don't want you to manage my portfolio, but I do want you to give me all these answers over here. They also come in and they'll say things like, I don't want you to manage my money. I like to do that, but I do need help knowing when I start generating this income, like which accounts should I be using? I've got an IRA over here. I've got a 401k over there. I've got a Roth account. I've got a brokerage account that I have 1099s on, and I have a pension, and I've got an HSA. Like what? How do I coordinate all these different accounts? Some are in my name, some are in my wife's name. I've got 529 plans. How do I coordinate how all these accounts work together? Let's not forget about Social Security. When do I turn that on? And they want to know what's the most efficient way for me to start kind of organizing my income. I don't want you to manage my money, but I want you to give me all the answers on how I'm supposed to generate and manage my income in and through retirement. Another thing they come in for is like spending capacity. Spending capacity simply is, I've got this bucket of money that I've grown over the last 40 years. I'm now going to switch over from growing it and saving into it, and I'm now going to be using it as my income. It's my engine. It's my engine that's going to drive my retirement for the next 20, 30 years. Well, I'd like to know, how much can I spend? If I still want to leave each of my kids $500,000, how much can I spend? That'd be spending capacity. And so to me, this is not me throwing shade at DIYers by any stretch of the imagination. If you love managing your own portfolio, then you should manage your own portfolio. That's just the way that it works, because we're talking about happy clients, right? Aaron and I specialize in happy clients. You're not going to be a happy client if you love managing your own portfolio, because we're going to do it differently than you. That's just the cold, hard truth. And a year from now, you're going to wake up and you're going to not like some of the moves that we made, and you're going to not be a client anymore. And so we don't even have to go down that road. But if you're not in that boat, if you don't just absolutely love managing your own portfolio, I would say you could still take a page out of the DIYers. They know something that a lot of people don't know, and that is knowing when and how to do Roth conversions, knowing what your withdrawal strategy should be, which accounts, during what time, how do you coordinate Social Security. how much you can spend and still leave behind the legacy you want to spend. They know the questions to ask, and they have trouble answering those questions. And these are questions that we answer for all of our clients when they go through our process. And if that's something, so this is an example of us teasing out of you the things that we need to know to do our job well. Give us a call. We'd love to invite you into this process, 770-741-0120.
What you're describing, Matt, is a way of thinking that is very, very common. And that is like a segmented or a compartmentalized, managing the portfolio, like managing the investments is one thing.
Choosing the stocks and the bonds that make it up.
Right. And executing like a Roth conversion or an income strategy or tax planning is an entirely separate thing. They're not related. I want to keep them separate. I want help on the second stuff. I don't want help on the portfolio management.
Yep.
And that couldn't be more wrong.
Correct.
And that's the backdrop to a lot of what Matt just described. To say that I want to keep managing my own portfolio, I don't want to pay someone to do that, but I do want to have help on Roth conversions and other stuff, means that by sheer definition of those two things, it's going to be inefficient. To manage a portfolio well, along with those other things that are really, really, really important, income strategies and where to withdraw from and Roth conversions, et cetera.
I would say more important.
More important even, I would agree. Like getting that right has way more influence on your portfolio health than your rate of return. We see that about 1,000 times a year. I don't know. And so to manage your portfolio according to your plan, what should be in your Roth account, meaning like what types of assets, what types of investments versus your IRA versus your brokerage, et cetera. And when you're distributing income, is it dividends or should you be selling assets to produce income? And how does that change from year to year, even quarter to quarter? All those things. These are not two compartmentalized services, which is why it's so hard to find, probably, I'm assuming if you're a DIY or you're looking for that, someone to help you in that regard. It just doesn't work. And what we say often, and this is sort of tongue-in-cheek, is like, listen, you should try it on your own for a while. And my hope and my prayer is that you don't experience way too much pain to wreck your plan before you call us. And we're not going to point and laugh. We're not going to say, I told you so. But when you've kind of had enough and you say, uncle, and you tap out and you say, never mind, I don't want to do this anymore, we will just, kind of hope that it's not too late. And we'd love to help you at that point.
Insurance products are offered through the Insurance Business Advanced Planning Group. Vincent Financial Group is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Advanced Planning Group are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Advanced Planning Group and IPW are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be constructed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Vincent Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained by sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Vincent Financial Group. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. This podcast is a paid placement.